Okay, everyone, and welcome back. I'm joined today by Ryonix, otherwise known as just an Aussie Yuri.
G'day everyone, my name is Ryonix.
So, let's go.
Hanako clings to Lily, but still manages to guide her along the road. That and avoiding the occasional gaze from curious pedestrians appears to completely sap her constitution. She rarely raises her focus from the ground in front of her, nor does she utter a word. Lily, on the other hand, maintains her prim and proper persona just as she does in school. It's obvious she purposely puts effort into her appearance, rather than hiding it as Hanako does. It's striking how different they are in their way of holding themselves outside of Yamaku's grounds. That said, it's obvious in both their cases that they do visibly change. Inside Yamaku, everyone is special, which negates to the specialness of it. But once we venture outside the school gates, we are returned to the status of outsider and generic labels. Especially when we are still in school uniform. It's like hanging a sign around your neck, challenging people to figure out what is wrong with you. I'm surprised that so many of the students keep it on. Then again, with canes and wheelchairs common among the students,
Right.
I guess it's not really that much of a giveaway.
Damn. I didn't even think
Or
about
maybe
it.
or maybe I'm the only one that sees it as a stigma. Maybe get used to it after a time, like any other school uniform. The tea house seems fairly standard from the outside, just an ordinary building with typical signs decorating the entrance. Looks like the type of place you'd walk by without a thought. Just another generic cafe in a sea of thousands. If Hanako hadn't steered Lily into the entrance, I would have continued on down the road without ever knowing that it existed. Inside the tea house, it takes on a more traditional feel. Everything seems to have been made from the same lump of timber, from the counter and benches to the high-backed booths around the walls.
That was a really nice transition. That was cool.
Yeah, but the most striking feature of the room is the lack of life. I think I can faintly hear something bubbling away in the background, but otherwise the room is silent. Without any direction, we simply wait near the entrance, politely obeying the "please wait to be seated" sign. Is this place closed or something? The sound of a chair falling over echoes throughout the empty room, and a head shoots up from inside a booth.
I wasn't asleep, and welcome to Shanghai.
Yuko, dressed in a pastel apron and clutching a menu, rushes to greet us. Her misaligned glasses and ruffled hair cast suspicion on her previous statement. Stop it. We know you have a crush for Yuko. You don't have to make it so obvious. You're just,
Oh god, you missed it. You missed it yesterday. Pretty much any time Hanako would appear, I was just completely enamored.
Cool. That's awesome. I'm so happy for you. But whether she was asleep or not isn't the first question that leaps to my mind. You work here now? What happened to the library?
What? Lily? Sao? Welcome to the Shanghai.
Yuko, still waking up, jerks into a violent bow, dislodging her glasses in the process.
My glasses.
As they pick up her spectacles off the floor, Lily offers an explanation to Velma.
Yuko works here part-time as well as at the library. It's one of the reasons we like to come here.
Your Lily voice has gotten better.
Oh, thank you.
It's more subtle. Yuko takes her glasses from my hands, shakily putting them back on.
Yes, that's right. Thanks. Shall I show you to your table? There's no one else here, so you can choose your table and order whatever you like, but there may be a delay as I'll have to make it myself. It's alright, Yuko. Just a pot of black tea and a plate of sandwiches will be fine. Right, I'll get right on that.
Yuko hurries off to the back of the cafe, leaving us still standing at the entrance. She pushes the swinging half doors open before realizing that she hasn't seated us.
I'm sorry. Please, sit wherever you like. I'll be right back.
Following her advice, I lead Lily to the nearest booth as Hanako follows. As I begin to sit next to Lily, I realize how appropriate this place is for Hanako. The high-backed booths totally separate you from the rest of the room, and it doesn't look like it gets all that many customers. All of the furnishings, from the cushions on the benches to the condiment holders, look dated but aren't overly worn. I wonder if Lily deliberately selects places like this to take Hanako. She seems like the type that would go to lengths to cater to Hanako's unique predicament.
She really does. So, I didn't know you played chess.
Well, not very well, but I do know how to play.
I suppose the obvious question would now be, who won?
Lily's innocent smile makes me hesitate. I don't really want to look like I'm lording my victory over Hanako.
Is noted.
Yes, but not by much. Damn, saying that out loud makes me feel like I've done something terrible.
Well done, Isao. You've accomplished something I've only ever failed at.
Thanks. I haven't played in ages, so it felt good to play again.
Yes, it did.
Hanako fidgets with her hair a little and looks away as she replies. But a small smile emerges. It's a little more extreme of a reaction than I expected, but still kind of cute in that Hanako way.
Yes.
It throws me a little off guard, and only Yuko's cataclysmic re-entry shocks me back into conversation. Are you alright there, Yuko? Do you need a hand?
I'm fine. I have to do this properly. It's my job.
Concentration plays across her face while she stares at the tray in her hands, as if simply looking at its contents will hold them in place. Sadly, this doesn't prove all that effective. The cups and saucers slowly dance around, occasionally clattering as they collide with one another. Taking great care, Yuko sets the tray down on the table with only the subtlest of crashes.
There, see?
Well done.
Head pats for Yuko. Thank you, Yuko.
Yuko's head rockets downwards in her distinctive bow before answering.
You're very welcome. Would you like to join us? There's something else I'd like to discuss about that recent order, if I may.
Ah, that's right. Lily and Yuko were discussing a pile of books when I first met Hanako. Something about Lily helping with the braille.
Bun! Welcome to the stream, Bun.
Hey, Bun. Hanako looks so unamused, it's amazing. She looks like she is not paying attention at all. Like there's just a bird outside and she's watching it.
Oh, yes, we didn't get the chance to go through them, didn't we? Oh.
Yuko hastily sits down next to Hanako. Apparently her dedication to this job only goes as far as her concentration. Once it is broken, she suddenly loses it.
I'll be in the library tomorrow afternoon if you'd like to try again. That sounds perfect. I'll meet you there after classes. Lily? Oh dear, that's right. Tomorrow is Monday. How could I have forgotten?
I'm starting to feel a little left out of the loop here. Then again, that's to be expected. I've been here for barely a week, so it's impossible to know everyone's schedule.
Well, perhaps we could come to some other arrangement. Yuko, will you be in the library later this week? Maybe, but this is already overdue. And there are some things I need. This might be a problem.
Lily ponders for a second before discovering the answer.
I wonder, might we be able to enlist the help of another if need be?
To do what? You lost me quite some time ago. Being volunteered for something without even having the slightest idea what is going on isn't really my thing. And here I thought I had finally escaped the clutches of the student council and their repeated attempts to recruit me.
Oh, of course. The other day I was helping Yuko sort the new Braille books in the library. But Hanako and I usually go shopping on Monday afternoons. It's quieter on that day than on weekends. Last week, we couldn't go because I was busy with the festival. I managed to slip away later in the week, but Hanako couldn't make it.
Well, since I can't read Braille, I'm assuming you'd like me to go shopping with Hanako.
Correct. If you were a great help to me the other day.
I think I can handle that. Hanako, what do you think?
If you wouldn't mind.
She's so cute! Of course not. I'm still not familiar with all the stores in the area, so it sounds like a good idea.
Okay. Now that we have that arranged, shall we have some tea?
It's now that I realize that our tea has been sidling idly by all this time, getting no hotter.
It's my fault! Let me pour that for you.
Yuko reaches out with shaking hands, but I intercept her. She looks in no state to be handling hot liquids.
Right.
It's alright, I've got it. Since you've already made the tea and sandwiches, you've fulfilled your waitress duties, right?
I guess.
Yuko relaxes a little, but still watches eagerly as I share out the assortment.
Oh?
As I'm about to bite into the sandwich, a low, loud rumble can be heard, along with a flash of light from outside.
And just judging from Hanako's face, oh, she's my spirit animal. I take it the show has started.
Only now looking outside, I realize that dusk has come and gone, leaving us in the peak of twilight. Sparking tracers arc upwards, ready to explode in the floral shapes of fireworks.
Let's go watch. Such.
It's not funny. She has a severe disability. How dare you make fun of her?
Oh, sorry, Lily. Please, don't miss the show on my account. From what I've heard, this isn't a bad location to watch them from. Oh.
With the exception of Lily, we rush to the window of the small tea house to watch the show. The strobe of colored lights plays across Hanako and Yuko's smiling faces, and for a second, I forget to look out the window. In this totally new world, there are a few things that won't change. I think that's why the school makes such a fuss over this festival. It's a chance to show the similarities between everyone. The show is over all too quickly. Fireworks are expensive, even for the most well-funded schools. Before we return to our tea and sandwiches, Hanako turns to me.
Thanks for today. And tomorrow.
That's okay. I don't think that I could have faced those crowds either. On days like this, it's more relaxing to spend some time away from everyone, don't you think?
Yes, fuck meme time. Hanako's smile is the cure for sadness. Yeah.
Anyway, we've been delaying this tea for far too long now. Let's get back.
Sure.
We return to the booth and our light meal.
That sounded impressive. Bigger than last year's, at least. Yeah, it was great. I've never seen them put on such a show. It gets better every year. I'm afraid, however, that during that time, the tea has gone cold. Oh no! Let me make some more. This is my fault.
Calm down, Yuko. It's nobody's fault. I take a sip from my cup, just to prove the point. The tea isn't too bad cool anyway. It's like an iced tea.
Really?
Yes, really. If you add a bit of sugar, it's kinda nice.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. Now why don't you sit down, and we'll finish this together.
Oh, okay.
Yuko doesn't seem convinced, but sits down regardless. She carefully measures out about 5 teaspoons of sugar and adds them to her tea. I said a bit of sugar.
I know, but I like my tea sweet anyway. You go, yes!
God, why don't you just go marry her then if she's your fucking soulmate?
Fuck you.
Ha ha ha. Curiously, I peer into her cup. As expected, hardly any of the sugar dissolves in the cool liquid. She stirs it twice before upturning the cup and drinking the contents, sugar and all, in a single mouthful.
Yep, me and Yuko, man. Like, yeah.
God, get a room.
You're right. That's not bad at all.
Good.
And also, Nick, I get that.
I look back to Lily and Hanako, both of whom have finished their meal as I witnessed Yuko's personality in action. Not wanting to hold anyone up, I use her tactic and finish the remainder of my tea in a single swill. Well then, it seems we're all finished.
Should we head back now, or do we want seconds?
Yuko's expression shows that this is quite clearly not a good idea. I think that it would be best if we got back soon. We do have to get back before curfew, after all.
Oh, that's a good point. I'll meet you tomorrow, Yuko. I'll be looking forward to it, Lily. Goodbye, everyone.
We make our way out of the small tea house and into the dark of the night. No, keep laughing. I'm sure it'll end very well for you.
Sorry.
That's fine, I don't care. Lily and Hanako once again take point, but under the cover of darkness, Hanako seems slightly less stressed than she did on the trip here. We move against the occasional group of people emptying the school grounds, but Hanako seems to lead us along a few minor roads, avoiding the bulk of the crowd. Outside the dorms, the school seems strangely quiet when compared to the noise of the day. Well then, thank you both for today. I think I learned a lot.
You're most welcome, but I'm afraid that I really must be going. Today's been a long day.
That's right. Lily spent all of today on her feet, and I can imagine that walking outside of the school would be pretty tiring for her. I feel a pang of guilt as I remember that I was probably the only one in the school that got up around 10 this morning. Sure thing. Well, I'll see you both tomorrow. Good night.
Good night, so. Night.
The girls return to their dorm, and I to mine. Actually, now that I consider it, today tired me out as well.
Alright, animated cutscene.
Oh, I love this one.
Act 1 complete. Aww. 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 I
gets
kinda
better.
hate it. Oh my god! Act 2.
Easily my favorite animated cutscene of the entire game. My alarm blares into my ears, only to be swiftly silenced by my fist. My body switches into auto mode, carrying my subconscious self out of bed and into my uniform. As always, my bottle of pills sits on my desk patiently, waiting for me to take them and pick out my daily dosage of medicine. 17 pills a day. Before I know it, I'm opening the door to class 3-3, glad to see that I'm not the only one who seems to be a little hungover from festival week. Every face in the classroom looks gaunt. With the festival now over, it's as if everyone's life dreams have been achieved. With nothing left to live for, the students have relied on instincts alone to guide them to class. Or maybe I'm just reading too much into it. I slowly make my way to my seat, and it's only then that I realize why the room is so peaceful. The seats beside mine are blissfully empty. The world's loudest interpreter for the deaf has yet to arrive.
Never mind.
Just as I'm about to sit down, the door flies open, revealing a resplendent Misha, drills bobbing from the dramatic entrance and arms stretched towards the sky.
Jeepers. Yahoo! It's all over!
It would appear that not everyone is affected by the post-festival depression. The rest of the class glare at her, obviously thinking the same thing I am. Misha, still frozen in the doorway with her arms still in the air, nervously looks around. It's obvious that she senses the foul mood, but can't work out exactly what to do. Suddenly, she jerks forward.
Hey!
As she stumbles into the classroom, she reveals Shizune, arms still extended from where she shoved Misha. Thanks for the entertainment, but shouldn't you two take your seats?
God, his relationship with them is so different in this route.
Still slightly embarrassed, Misha takes a few seconds to realize she has to translate.
Yeah. Shichian says she's not happy with you ditching us last week. We were really busy.
Is that so? What about the stuff I already did for you two? Wow, Hisao's actually standing up for himself.
Right. She says that only counts for council members. Since you declined, she doesn't owe you anything.
Misha leans closer and whispers conspiratorially into my ear.
Actually, I think she's just a little sore that you didn't spend the day with her. She's really thankful for your work last week, though.
Sensing that she's being talked about, Shizune lightly wraps her fingers on her desk until Misha turns around to face her. I can't understand any of the fast-paced signing that's going on, but from Shizune's slightly embarrassed expression and Misha's poorly contained laughter, I can guess. While this exchange is happening, the door opens once again, but this time at a much more reasonable pace.
You bum-bun. Good boy.
Hanako quietly enters the room and pulls the door closed behind her. Peering out from under her hair, she quickly scans the classroom. Our eyes meet, and she suddenly stiffens. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and then walks over to my desk.
Good morning, Hisao.
Morning, Hanako. You're a little late, aren't you?
I was talking to Lily about today.
Oh, so you got our list then. We can leave straight after classes in that case.
Sure.
I'm looking forward to it. Hanako briefly flashes her embarrassed smile at me, then hurries off to her seat.
No.
During classes, it becomes apparent that it's not only the students that are a little despondent after the festival. Motu simply gives us a list of exercises from the textbook and then sits behind his desk. I totally forget about the brief lunch period for a moment. Such is the banality of the day. It's mind-numbing, and everyone seems surprised when the bells signal the end of the lessons. As I'm packing up my bag, Shizune and Misha flank and entrap me.
Oh no. Say, Jan, it's still not too late to join up. There's a lot of post-festival paperwork for us to complete.
Sorry, Misha. I've got plans. As if sensing the cue, Hanako appears behind me, holding a small bag and trying to avoid eye contact with the outside world. Misha's eyes open wide, then she bursts into laughter.
Don't make me do it, Misha.
Twice, too.
You move fast, don't you, Jan? We won't disturb your date any further.
God, that laugh.
Yeah,
It's taking over your body.
I know. I don't like
Behind
it.
the You're not meant to like it. Behind the roaring Misha, I see Shizune taking far too little interest in the scene. I might be taking this the wrong way, but I think she's deliberately ignoring me. I feel a gentle tug on my shirt and turn to see Hanako's eyes fixed firmly on the floor.
Let's.
Gotcha. Shizune, Misha, I'll see you later. And I'm still not interested in the council.
A spoil sport.
Misha and Shizune retreat into the hallway, happily signing to each other. Got all your stuff? Let's head off. Floods of students pour out of the school gates and onto the road into town. It's a little weird. It's almost a scene from any other high school, but the illusion fades because of the occasional wheelchair or missing limb. One thing I do notice is that nobody is alone. And, as Hanako and I pass through the gates, I notice that she closes the distance between us. Not enough to be considered close, but she certainly isn't at her usual just a little far position. I guess we're not familiar enough for her to get as close as she does with Lily. However, even though she has moved a little closer to me physically, mentally she seems to have traveled a mile. Her hands clutched around the leather straps of her bag to the point of whitening her knuckles, her head down and her mouth pursed close. She almost looks like she's being walked to the principal's office for the first time. I tried to stifle a giggle at the thought, but it's futile.
What's the matter?
I guess there's no point in hiding it. Sorry. For a second there, it looked like you were getting in trouble.
What do you mean?
I think you need to relax a little. We're not going too far, and it's only students around, right?
Right.
Students can be mean, dude. It bothers me a little to see Hanako so worked up. And you do this every week, don't you?
Yes, with Lily.
Of course, with Lily. I wonder, has she ever left the school without her? It doesn't seem like much at first glance, but Hanako's dependence on Lily is absurdly heavy. Hanako would be one of those people who'd need like an emotional dependence dog or something. If she can't even handle leaving the school without her, how would she have managed to survive if the two have never met? Would she have found someone else to latch on to? And what drew her to Lily? Was it her lack of eyesight, or was Lily just kind enough to lend a hand? I wonder if anyone would have fit the bill. Well, I'm here. Besides, we're not going far. It'll be over before you know it. Hanako's knuckles slowly regain their color as she tries to hide a small smile, but the effort of that seems to prevent further conversation. We travel, side by side, down the winding road towards the town. The crowd of students thins as we continue along the sidewalk. Faster students rush ahead, and the less mobile ones fall behind, rarefying the crowd into nothingness.
Absolutely, Artie. Definitely.
By the time we reach the convenience store, we are practically alone. Using me as a shield between herself and the attendant, Hanako moves through the narrow aisles, adding an assortment of items to her basket. Bread, milk, tea, thyme? What kind of convenience store sells herbs? Then again, nothing about this town seems normal, which may not be such a bad thing in retrospect. Everything is so different and uncomfortable. Dwelling on such matters isn't really an option. When I think about that, it reminds me of Hanako. No matter how much you try, you can't escape her scars. They still interrupt my train of thought when I see them. As much as I don't want to admit it to myself, I think I'm forcing myself to try to ignore them. Not that I'm scar-free myself. The jagged line down my sternum will never completely fade away. I just have the luxury of being able to hide it easily. But, in a way, both of our scars remind me that we're all in this place for a reason. Hanako throws one last item into her basket and sheepishly holds it out to me, along with a few banknotes.
Could you please?
It takes me a second to understand what she's trying to say. Oh, you want me to pay for this? She nods, but doesn't look up. I guess gift this task falls to Lily on the usual occasions. Sure, let me just grab a couple of things. Hastily, I grab a few essential items for myself and head for the counter with Hanako close in tow. The attendant gives me an indifferent nod as he scans in the items. I suppose just ignoring us is one way to deal with the anomalies of Yamaku. They must get a lot of students here, being the closest store to the school. Staff must all have their own way of dealing with us. Or maybe they don't. Maybe it's only me who thinks twice about my unique schoolmates. Our transaction complete, Hanako and I head back out onto the street. The road is pretty much abandoned now. Students that were heading out have already left, and nobody has started returning just yet. And, with only the school ahead on the road, there doesn't seem to be anyone else around. The emptiness certainly reflects on Hanako, her arms by her sides, each carrying a bag, her head no longer bowed, and back to the upright position.
Kaiju-senpai, glad you could join us.
Hey, Kaiju. It's almost as if she were enjoying this walk. So why all these weird things? Mixed spice? Why would you need that in school?
I sometimes like to make food.
Well, yeah, so do I, but spices? It's a little more advanced, don't you think?
Not really.
Well, I think it's cool. You'll have to teach me one day.
Sure.
She doesn't seem all that sure, but pushing the point doesn't seem all that wise. At the very least, she seems a great deal happier than she did on the walk down here. That alone makes me a little happier. Outside the girls' dorm, Hanako and I sort out the grocery bags with our respective purchases. In comparison, my things look positively plain. I tell you, you're putting me to shame here.
No, I'm not.
I'm only joking. I have a stack of homework that I skipped last week, so I must leave now. Will you be alright getting that to your room?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay then. I'll see you tomorrow.
Bye.
We part ways, and I return to my room.
Right? Default? Yeah, already.
You put salt on things? That's a bit advanced cooking, don't you think?
Right.
God, boiling water. That's a bit advanced.
Hey. I can't cook.
Oh. Piles of papers sit upon my desk, begging to be completed. With the entire ruckus of the last week, I've barely had any time to catch up. I tried to keep up with my studies while I was in the hospital, but some of the stuff I've never seen before, even back in my old school. Totally unprepared, I pop the top on a can of drink and get to work.
I am loving this route so far. Holy fuck.
It's really nice. I think it's probably the first route that was written, and it was used as like a base for the other routes. The days are really starting to heat up. This morning, I awoke, covered in sweat. By the time the student body starts leaving their dorms for breakfast and morning duties, the sun has taken full effect. Oddly, it puts me in high spirits. It's not even 8, yet I feel that this day is going to be one of those pleasant, tranquil, warm ones. If I weren't at a school that considered every absence from class as a sign of a life-threatening situation, I'd consider skipping the whole day and just relaxing in the school gardens. Yes, today will be a genuinely lazy day. Oh, you fool. You absolute fool. For a second, I stop in mid-stretch and consider the nurse's warning about exercise. Maybe I should have kept up those morning jogs. Maybe it would only save your life. It's not important.
Right.
Running with someone like Emmy might have been a little testing, but if I worked at my own pace... Oh, who am I kidding? I couldn't stick to something like that without some kind of motivation. It's not like I sit around all day. The walk to and from the convenience store counts as an exercise, right?
Totally.
Especially the walk back up the hill. Yeah, I mean, walking is very good exercise that doesn't stress your heart too much.
More than I get.
Yeah, it's no big deal. Compared to months lying in a hospital bed, I'm getting plenty of exercise.
Right.
It seems that I'm not alone in my appreciation of the day. Nearly every member of the class is glancing through the window and into the tantalizing sky. Even the steadfast Shizune seems to lack her usual vigor for schoolwork. Misha, as brazen as ever, has even unbuttoned the top buttons of her shirt and is fanning herself with a notebook. I must have been staring as she's now sticking her tongue out at me. Fucking whore!
Tease.
However, she shows no signs of halting her efforts, nor is she trying to hide the fact.
Damn. The fuck?
The lunch bells seem to catch everyone by surprise, and the class empties at a much slower pace than usual. The heat seems to be draining the need to rush from everyone. Well, almost everyone.
Sal?
Hey there, Hanako. What can I do for you today? Hanako already has a lunch bag in hand. I don't have to be a detective to work out where this is going.
Would you like to have lunch with us again? I brought enough for everyone.
Awesome. You don't have to be so stiff about it, though.
Oh, right.
I take it we're going to the tea room?
Please. Lily said she'd meet us in there, so we should go ahead together.
Sounds like a plan. This heat has made me pretty hungry. Hanako breathes a sigh of relief, and I gather my things together. As usual, the aura of the tea room is refreshing, feeling isolated from the rest of the world. Then again, the usual din of the school seems to be a bit subdued, most likely from laziness promoted by heat exhaustion. Hanako slowly spreads her food on the table, intently focusing on every little movement, as if she's trying to keep her mind off other thoughts. It's not much, but I can tell from her demeanor that she has prepared everything with the utmost care. I guess Lily isn't here yet. Should we start without her?
She'll be here soon.
Hanako struggles with the lid of the container of rice. Here, let me help with that. I take the container from Hanako's hands and try to force open the lid. Try as I might, it seems wedged shut. Let me guess. Did you put this in while the rice was still hot?
Yes. I was in a rush.
I put the container on the table between us. I thought so. It looks like this is wedged shut. We'll need some hot water to get it open. And boiling water is beyond my capabilities as a cook. We're
Right.
stuffed. But that could be a pain in here. We'd get water everywhere.
Well, in that case, how about I contribute to today's meal?
At the door, Lily smiles while holding up a bag stocked with various buns and bread rolls. I can't help but do the same.
Since you two had a change of plans because of me, I thought I would bring a little something.
Thanks, Lily. Here, let me get that for you. With a little guidance, Lily's bread assortment joins Hanako's riceless platter. I hastily make some tea to complete the picture. Well, I'm looking forward to this. As I take a bite, I notice Hanako trying her hardest to not look like she's looking at me. It's nothing special, but then again, I can't really complain. I'm pretty lazy when it comes to cooking for myself. My god, if only women gave these signs, these obvious signs in real life.
Right.
Not bad. I guess this is made with the stuff you bought yesterday.
Yes.
Hanako's eyes shout at me, begging for some kind of feedback.
Oh.
Well, it was clearly worth it. Thanks, Hanako.
I wanted to show you this after yesterday.
It's okay. I was just a little surprised at the stuff you were buying.
Hanako has always liked to experiment when it comes to food. I think it's good. Most of the time.
While Lily's smile doesn't waver, the slight change in her tone tells me that things have not gone so well in the past. And it's not like Hanako has many people to sample her cooking.
Right?
Hang on, was Lily waiting for me to go first? She didn't start eating until after I said it was alright. She was waiting for you to test for poison, idiot.
I know, right?
Her cheeky grin tells me that this was a deliberate action on her part, so that she wouldn't be poisoned. I'll have to try and work out how to get one over her in the future to make up for this. Well, it's good, and that's all that counts, right?
Right.
Lily, satisfied in not being the first to sample Hanako's creation, begins to consume the food in front of her. What would Lily have done if Hisao said it didn't taste nice? Was she just not going to eat it?
Right.
I find myself staring as I watch her chopsticks gently touch the plate, their tips delicately poking and tracing to quickly ascertain the positions of the food as she dexterously picks it up. One might think she were a child playing with her food if not for the situation, though she does it with such care and thoughtlessness that it's obvious that this is simply how she eats this kind of meal. Not wanting to miss out, I start filling out myself. Hanako takes a different approach, waiting until Lily and I have our hands clear before quickly snatching up her share.
Oh, she's so sweet.
Before long, the containers are empty, save for the still shut rice container.
Thank you, Hanako. That was filling. No, thank you for the bread.
Yes, it would have been a disaster if not for that.
You're both welcome. But now, I must be getting back. It's far too easy to be late after eating here.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I think we'll just clean up here and then head off.
Well then, good day.
Lily leaves, her cane tapping away down the quiet hallway.
Alrighty.
Hanako and I quickly pack our things and stay seated, waiting for the bell. Together, we stare out the window and into the endless azure sky. If it weren't for the pealing of the bells, I would have sworn the time had stopped. The urge to skip class rises in my gut. I shoot a glance at Hanako, who shows no signs of moving either.
Not just yet.
The interval between the warning bells and the end of the lunch bells passes in the blink of an eye. We really should go. People will freak out and start a search party if we skip. Hanako sighs.
You're right.
Slowly, she rises to her feet, and I follow suit. Silently, we make our way up the old stairs to the third floor, and then to our classroom. At the door, I take point and open the door ahead of Hanako, bowing my head down in apology in advance. I'm sorry we're late, teacher. I'm greeted not by stern words, nor by an angered instruction to take my seat, but simply by the silence created by 15 or so students trying not to laugh. Muto, ever tardy, is yet to arrive. However, the fact that Hanako and I have arrived together is blatantly obvious.
Oh boy.
Make that about 14 students trying and 1 student failing.
Lovers return.
Yeah, thanks. You can calm down now. I step through the door and realize that Hanako is firmly pressed against my back, hiding herself from the class. With my steps coming closer to my desk, she eventually breaks from me and stiffly walks to her own. Her efforts to mentally block everyone's presence from my mind are written fairly clearly on her face. Quickly checking the door for any signs of the teacher's arrival, I make a trip to Hanako's desk and whisper in her ear. Don't worry about Misha. She's always like this. I enjoyed myself today. Don't sweat it, okay? Hanako nods her head behind her, folded arms, but still doesn't show her face. I yearn to stay and console her more, but Muto picks this exact moment to enter the class, halfway through his lecture as if he started it in the hallway.
What?
Which, of course, is directly proportional to the shot, but inversely proportionally to the square of the distance. So engrossed in his speech that he doesn't even notice me sneaking back into my seat from Hanako's desk. While Muto's spiel rambles on, Misha leans over to me.
The teacher may not have noticed your tardiness, but I did.
Oh, really? It was so subtle, Misha. How did you pick it up? That much is obvious from the show you just put on.
I've been instructed to let you off the hook for today, but only on one condition.
Oh, and what would that be?
You have to help us this afternoon.
I crane my neck to look over Misha's shoulder. Shizune's conveniently not making eye contact with me. Fine. Just for today. I've already told you I'm not joining the council, remember?
Of course, doing so could be considered.
She looks down at her notebook, obviously looking for her place in her script.
Under duress, and hence would be against regulations.
How very strange of you to be considerate of the regulations now.
Things should be done by the book. It's just that the book hasn't been written for every situation, so there are times when it can be ignored.
And yet you two wonder why no one else wants to be in the student council. After poking her tongue out at me, Misha returns to her workbook, and we battle our way through the latter half of the school day. Before I can even stand up, Misha and Shizune have placed their hands on both my shoulders. Hey, I said I'd help out.
This is just insurance, Sal. Insurance. Sal?
Hanako timidly tries to leave the room by circling around us, and I suddenly realize that this may be my one chance to escape.
They can be, Artie.
Oh, hey, Hanako, what's up? Jesus. Wow. Someone clip that shit and send it to Bun, please. If he's not here already.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's a reference, Artie. Don't worry about it. That really got you.
Hey, what makes you think fucking... Oh boy. What makes you think you got time to chat?
Oh, relax. This won't take long. Sorry, Hanako, what were you saying?
I was going to go to the library, and I thought...
Hanako's thumbs dance around each other and her eyes flit around the room, looking everywhere but at us.
Sorry, Hanako, but Hisao has... God, where's Misha's voice? Hisao has to come with us. He's got work to do. Oh, but you can help too if you like. So, how about it, Hisao? Apparently neither choice here makes an impact, and since we've already gone one route...
Oh, so it's pointless. Lovely.
Yeah, this one is.
What do you say, Hanako? If we all help, it shouldn't take long at all. Hanako's fidgeting answers my question before she can even form the words.
I really need to go.
Well, That was to be expected. Looks like it's just me and the council girls again. It's easier to resign myself to another afternoon's work in the small council office. I'll catch up with you later, okay?
Okay. Alright, now that the farewells are over, it's work time.
Misha and Shizune frog-marched me to the student council office, never once letting go of my shoulders. I feel a little bad for ditching Hanako like this, but if this is the price of getting Misha off her back, so be it. So then, what are we up to today?
Debrief.
Isn't that supposed to happen after something?
Yep. We have to collate all the information from the festival so that Shi-chan can debrief the teachers.
Shizune drops a large pile of paperwork on the desk in front of me and smiles succinctly.
You need to sort those out into 2 piles. Jesus Christ, Misha, where are you today? One for financial stuff, like receipts, one for feedback, one for positive feedback, maybe one for things that look like they could be problems next year, and one for problems that probably won't be able to be fixed.
That's a few more than 2 piles.
Huh? Oh, right. Yeah, I thought it would only be 2. My bad.
Right. While I'm doing this, what will you two be doing?
Well, we missed lunch, so because we were collecting all these reports, so we're gonna go get some food.
Why didn't you just sort them out while you were collecting them? Thankfully, my self-defense mechanism kicks in and prevents me from opening my mouth. You mean your self-worth mechanism? Further worsening my situation.
Yeah? How's that fair?
I was fretting over the unfair distribution of work so much that I didn't notice that Shizune had kept on signing. If it weren't for Misha's outburst, I probably wouldn't have noticed at all. Shizune seemed to be delivering a fairly long string of commands to Misha, and none of them looked pleasant. Reaching a conclusion, Misha signs briefly back to Shizune and then sits down at the desk next to me. Shizune waves to the both of us before disappearing out the door. What was all that about?
And Shi-chan was worried that you'd get it all wrong unless you were supervised. And since she can't tell you how you're messing things up, she's making me stay. Oh, bummer. Wanted to go with Shi-chan. But she is going to bring us back some food. How good is that?
Misha's flippancy is out of this world. From down in the dumps to on top of the world over some calories. It's hard to imagine how anyone could operate at that level. Well, it could have been worse. So what are we supposed to be doing?
Collation.
I gathered that.
Well, let's start making piles. We'll work out what the piles mean later.
Excellent supervision. Right. We start to separate all the papers into increasingly complex piles. At first, it's just simple categories. Financial, feedback, incident reports. Then they split apart into the good and bad reports, and further still, until it starts to look like we've just thrown the papers onto the desk. This is hopeless.
Huh? Why? We're doing what we were told, right?
Yes, but it looks like we're just making a mess.
No, I think we got a lot done. Shi-chan will be able to work out the rest from here. So, I think we can stop about here then.
It's almost as if Misha's common sense left the room with Shizune. Still, there's no point in arguing.
Thank you, Nick. Anyway, what's the deal with you and Hanako?
What's the deal with you? overall. Deal?
You were hanging out with her today, weren't you? Have there been any fireworks? Any gossip that you're withholding from me?
If I told you about my own circumstances, it wouldn't be gossip, would it?
I guess not.
We're just friends, I guess. Why are you so interested? I thought you and Shizune didn't like her.
It's not really like that. You know Shi-chan and Lily don't get along well. And since you can't really get Hanako away from Lily, we don't talk to her much. But that doesn't mean that y'all can't be concerned for her. That I can't be concerned. God.
But y'all!
Shut up.
Hey, Kaiju. What is there to be concerned about?
Well, she never hangs out with anyone else, right? It's no good, He-chan.
Right, because you have such a large friend base. If Shizune and Lily dislike each other because their personalities are different, then I hate to think how Misha and Hanako would get along.
I mean, in one way or the other, we're all in the same boat here, right?
I guess.
This one time, when she left class halfway through, Shi-chan went to the teacher and asked what was going to be done about it. He said that every student here has special needs and that Shi-chan shouldn't worry herself about it. Hanako never does any group work. She just runs off. We go do. Isn't that enough to be concerned about?
I guess you're right. She still hardly says a word when we're talking. It's almost like she has some sort of mental problem that doesn't allow her to talk to people normally, and that's the condition that she's being treated here. Fucking Misha.
Well, that's more than I've been able to do. Shi-chan and I both tried when she started, but she got scared and ran off.
I consider telling Misha that exactly the same thing happened with me, but she seems caught up in thought. Listening to Misha without Shizune's influence is interesting.
That's a word for it. I think she needs to realize that people here don't care what she looks like and that she can trust us. If she could, I'd feel a lot better about her.
I think this is the longest I've watched Misha without seeing her sign. When she's with Shizune, she is constantly waving her hands about, explaining the world to Shizune. That amount of effort probably places a strain on even an agile mind. And let's face it, Misha isn't the world's brightest spot. If you know what I mean. Well, I'll keep an eye on her for you. But you should probably apologize for earlier. I don't think Hanako is cut out for that kind of joke.
Oh? Oh! I didn't even notice. Sorry.
Don't say it to me, just mention it to her.
Alright, first thing tomorrow. I'll speak to her.
Good. Soon as the sun rises. A cacophony from the door heralds the return of Shizune. I guess she can't really tell how much noise she is making.
Oh, Shi-chan, you're back!
Shizune AP is completely laden with goods from the convenience store.
There was some surplus left from the festival. Since this is officially festival business, I splurged a little. Nice idea, Shi-chan, 10 points.
Is that really allowed?
For someone who refuses to join us, you seem to take an unhealthy interest in the politics of this council. I shall punish your insolence by rationing your portion of the feast. God.
Oh my god, how has his how not fallen for Shizune with tactics like this?
I know, gosh.
Fine, I get it. Misha slides the multiple stacks of paper to one side to make room for the avalanche of food Shizune is spreading out. As I watch my hard yet misdirected work become wasted, I realize that it's little wonder why these two need help.
Jesus.
The convenience store meal isn't overly tasty, but at the very least, it's filling.
Thanks for helping today. Most of the time, we just make up the reports for the staff. this year, we can at least make up some relevant headings on the brief.
Are you sure this isn't a corrupt organization?
Not at all. Not at all. We're by the book. It's not our fault if the book isn't specific enough.
I thought that was the definition of corruption.
You think too much.
You know what? You're probably right.
That's why I had a heart attack by the time I was 16.
Anyway, I must be off. That is, if I'm allowed to leave.
Your work has been deemed sufficient. You may leave.
Well, thank you. You know, if you stress the free meal side of things over the endless workload side, you'd probably end up with more recruits.
You might just have a point.
Well, think about it. And think about what we talked about. You don't have to tell that to Shizune if you don't want.
What? Oh, right. I'll try to see her tomorrow. Not she-chan, or he-chan, god damn it. Misha, what's wrong with you?
Night, Misha. Shizune.
Damn it.
What, you got something to say? You got something you want to share with the class?
Yeah, I don't know where the fuck Misha's voice is, but as long as I'm not stuck with her laugh for the rest of my life, I'm good.
That laugh will never leave you.
There's a high likelihood of that.
Chirping birds. Normally, this would be a good time to reflect upon the beauty of nature. But it is 6 a.m. Covering my head with a pillow, I slam my face into the mattress, hoping that the impact will send me instantly back to sleep.
You'd need a really hard mattress for that.
Futile. I toss and turn, but sleep simply won't return to me. All right, nature, you've won. See? I'm getting up now. The lack of sleep weighs my mind down, and there's only one remedy for this. A nice, hearty breakfast.
I mean, if that's what works for you, but no.
It would be nice to be the first person here. To be the first to dig into a piping hot pile of food, to sit wherever I desire.
God, you don't just sound like an old man, you act like one too.
It would have been nice. But even my exceptionally early start has put me behind the most diligent students. I guess there are quite a few people that have early starts here, for one reason or another. A group of students in sports clothes huddle around one table, eagerly discussing game plans in between inhaling great gulps of food. Scattered around the hall are a number of bleary-eyed students, probably suffering from the same ailment as myself. Noisy birds. And of course, they're the people that actually enjoy getting up this early, the ones with their bags stuffed with textbooks and completed homework. Those fuckers. It's hard not to despise people like that, even more so when you're tired yourself. Picking out a familiar face from the thin crowd, I head towards the nearest table. Lily sits alone, delicately feeling her way around a small plate of eggs with her fork. It's almost a shame to interrupt her in her clockwork movements.
Gee.
I wonder, is this how a blind person zones out? Simply moving in predetermined patterns learned over the years, just like how a sighted person would eat while reading a newspaper. Good morning, Lily. I didn't expect you to be here this early. And the flirting, my god!
Oh, so you startled me. Didn't know you took breakfast this early.
I don't. This is an exception to the rule. I greatly prefer to be late to school than early to breakfast. Lily gives a small sigh at my admitted tardiness as I begin eating my food. It doesn't take long for her to lapse back into her previous mindless nibbling. Each short motion lacks energy. I suppose this is similar to letting your eyes wander while performing any ordinary chore. But after a few repetitions of the find food / eat food cycle, Lily puts down her fork and dabs her lips with a napkin.
Yes, Al. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Damn. All I want is a little food and about 4 hours of sleep. And nobody says, "Can I ask you a question?" for a simple question.
Ace, my dude, thank you for the host.
Epic host. Sure.
Do you think of Hanako as a friend?
This seems like a leading question. I guess so. Why do you ask?
No real reason.
That's a goddamn lie.
I do have another question, though. Why is it that you think of her as a friend?
This is well above my level. What is she expecting from me? I'm not really sure. I guess it's because she's a little different in the way she deals with people.
Since I've known her, she hasn't really connected with anyone. She doesn't seem interested in other people, and I think people are a little scared off by her appearance.
Really? I thought that kind of thing was, well, discouraged here. Discriminating and such. Because we all know how good schools are at getting rid of discrimination and bullying.
Yeah. If I were to put it one way.
She furrows her brow in thought, a move which makes me slightly anxious as to what she's plucking from her mind.
I'd say that you're a little naive.
Naive? I'd be insulted, if not for the slightly cynical grin on her face. I see.
While Yamaku has a stronger sense of community compared to other schools, it's far from being free of conflict. Rules cannot remove human nature, after all, only suppress it.
That's something I've noticed, actually. Just little things, like how certain people in cliques avoid each other in the hallways. It's no different than my old school, really. Even Lily and Shizune could be considered bitter rivals, even though they both seem like fairly accepting people. Well, at least the Misha-tinted Shizune does. Who knows what actually goes on with her fingers behind her glasses. I guess you're right, but when I first came here, everything was a bit of a shock. I kept on making mistakes, or at least thinking I was making mistakes. Like when we first met and I said, "I see" to you. I didn't know if that was considered rude or anything, so I just tried to put it in the back of my mind. Treating people any differently and that kind of thing. So I didn't. I told myself that Hanako and you and everyone else was just normal, and I tried to ignore the obvious. I talked to Hanako as if she were any other person, and so we became friends.
Good pun.
At least, that's how I think it happened. Oh, hey, Bun Bun, what's up? But you know, I feel guilty just from saying something like that aloud. As if it took extra effort to think of Hanako, or you, or anyone here as normal people. I don't think that's right.
Hisao, I think you are naive, but I also think that you are a good person. It is perhaps one of your better traits.
I suppose I can take that as a compliment?
Tell me, are you free tonight?
If you don't count homework, then I'm as free as the breeze.
Oh, Hisao, you stupid man.
You!
In that case, would you care to join myself and Hanako for tea?
I don't really have that much money at the moment, so going out isn't really,
Oh, I didn't mean going out. Just here, this evening.
You can access the classrooms in the evening here?
Oh, no, that's not what I meant. Hanako and I often use my room for tea parties together. Please feel free to drop by after dusk.
Sure, I see no problem with that. What's your room number?
Hey, default. 225. Room 25 on the second floor.
Okay, sure.
Well then, I'd best be off. I have class representative duties to attend to, after all. Until this evening, so.
Yeah, catch you later.
Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, and ring those bells. That's all I have for today. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye, everyone.